Hi, everyone. This is Jackie Hale. Donna Petrie-Smith joins me today, and we are recreating the presentation that we did at the World Championship Horse Show called Stand Up for an Alternative. We presented this idea for an alternative governing body to a crowd of over 200 people and received very positive response. So we are pursuing the establishment of an alternative governing body with the goal of being ready for the 2020 show season. But before we get started, I do want to explain, just as I did at the presentation in Kentucky, that we are in no way suggesting that the American Saddlebred Horse Association or any other NGB affiliate leave USEF. ASHA has made it perfectly clear that they have no intention of leaving USEF at this time. We understand and respect that decision. And in fact, we commend them and the Joint Leadership Council for the work that they've done to improve the relationship with USEF and hope that that trend continues. But this alternative governing organization would be a non-NGB, which we'll explain to you, and would function in addition to USEF, not instead of. And our target market would be the smaller and medium-sized shows that are not USEF affiliated. Just a little bit of history before I pass the mic to Donna. The American Horse Shows Association was established in 1917, and it governed our national shows. The U.S. Equestrian Team was established in 1950, and that was the organization that governed the Olympic competitors. Now, these two organizations merged in 2003 to form the United States Equestrian Federation, and that is how our national breeds and disciplines and international breeds and disciplines got combined all under the umbrella of the Olympic movement. Donna?
Yeah, Jackie, as you mentioned, the United States Equestrian Federation is the Olympic national governing body for equestrian sport as designated by the U.S. Olympic Committee. The Ted Stevens Amateur Sports Act of 1978 chartered the U.S. Olympic Committee and gave it the authority to designate the national governing bodies for each Olympic sport, such as USA Swimming and U.S. Figure Skating, USA Track and Field, and of course, the United States Equestrian Federation. The Protecting Young Victims from Sexual Abuse and Safe Sport Authorization Act of 2017 amends the Ted Stevens Amateur Sport Act in part by creating the U.S. Center for Safe Sport and designating it as the organization to exclusively handle all reports or allegations of sexual misconduct within the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic national governing bodies. And that's important to remember. The American Saddlebred Horse Association is an affiliate association of the United States Equestrian Federation and is required to comply with and be bound by the USEF bylaws and rules, as well as the decisions of the Federation, including those of the Hearing Committee and the U.S. Center for Safe Sport. Now, we're going to look on the right where we have the American Saddlebred Registry. The registry is an independent organization not affiliated with an Olympic national governing body. Therefore, it is not under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Olympic Committee or the U.S. Center for Safe Sport. In my opinion, we should be utilizing it to record points for World Championship Horse Show qualification. Prior to the ASHA arbitrarily taking over the World Championship Horse Show point recording system in 2015, horse shows had a choice in whether they were governed by the USEF or not. Now, by being required to be ASHA affiliated in order for the show's points to count towards World Championship Horse Show qualification, the choice is essentially taken away. So the thought is, if you had a non-NGB horse show organization utilizing the registry to record points, you would be out from under the jurisdiction of, the U.S. Olympic Committee, the national governing body of Olympic sports, the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, you would be out of that Olympic movement, which, we is Saddlebreds and Hackneys and Morgans, we don't participate in the Olympics. That's part of the issue here. Some shows would choose to still be USEF licensed, which is fine, but I think it's important to give people a choice in how they show their horse and how they participate in non-Olympic equestrian sport, which is what we're involved in.
Exactly. And this idea is not uncommon. Here on this next slide, you can see that under the U.S. Olympic Committee, the national governing body for horses that participate in reining in the Olympics is USA Reining. People that participate in Taekwondo, their NGB is USA Taekwondo. But then on the right, you can see that the National Reining Horse Association is a non-NGB. And there are more than 50 non-NGB Taekwondo organizations just in the United States. There's over 100 worldwide. So what we're talking about doing, creating a non-NGB for the show horse industry, is not a crazy idea. It's done with pretty much every other sport, including other equestrian sports. The Paint Horse Association, the Quarter Horse Association, those are all non-NGB organizations.
Right, and looking in the next slide, where you led into the non-NGB governing organizations for the horse show industry, we felt in our discussions that there were 5 elements that were important to address, for this organization: rules and standards, insurance, athlete safety training and reporting, drug testing, and then we thought it was very important to reinvest in our breeds and horse shows. That would be a huge element, in my opinion, of what we could do with this non-NGB organization that, serves the horse show element. And if we go to the next slide, we're looking at 75% of our horse shows currently have no governance and no protection. And that is because those 75% of horse shows are not licensed by USEF. Those horse shows have chosen to not be under USEF jurisdiction. However, right now we're operating in sort of an all or nothing system. We feel that it's important to create a network of horse shows, and we hope to bring that 75% into this network and provide them with uniform standards and rules.
Exactly, Donna. The rules and standards were the number one task that we thought would have to be tackled, and it seemed like an ominous task when looking at the USEF rule book, but the fact of the matter is much of it could be simplified. There's so much in that rule book that really doesn't apply to our breeds and disciplines. So the class specifications would remain the same, and our ideas and concepts regarding our sport cannot be copywritten. So we already have a start on the general rules, and we're working on those now. We hope to work with the breed associations to develop the breed specific rules. We really feel like the association should own their own rules, not be owned by any other governing body. So we do hope that we can have a good working relationship with them regarding that. And then having these standards will give horse shows credibility and protection.
The idea is we don't want to be a punitive organization. You and I have talked about that. If you go to, if you just look at the American Paint Horse Association's website, and they are a non-NGB organization, as Jackie mentioned earlier, they actually have a fee schedule at the beginning of their rule book, which even includes a restitution fee for a positive drug test. So I think we invite litigation when we're not transparent and upfront with the rules and penalties. So I know a lot of people are always worried about the amount of money that is spent on litigation, that we hear coming out of USES, but I think that a lot of that can be warded off. And additionally, you and I have talked about, this is why we would use a third-party mediation or arbitration company for disputes instead of a hearing committee that's comprised of horse show people. It's impossible to avoid a conflict of interest when you are filling your hearing committee with, the same people that you do business with, or you interact with, or you compete against, or you're judged by. It's literally impossible to avoid a conflict of interest unless you use a third party.
All right, the next piece of the puzzle was insurance, and event insurance is readily available. I put on 2 4-day horse shows a year, and I use one of our equine insurance companies for that insurance policy. My cost is about $150 a day. I get a move-in day and a move-out day, and that policy covers the individuals or organization that's putting on the horse show. It also covers the facility as an additional insured, but it does not cover all of the officials who are working at the horse show. So that was the piece we were missing. If you are a USCF licensed official, then you do receive a $1 million liability policy with your judge's cards, and that covers you when you are officiating at a USCF rated event. But again, with less than 25% of our horse shows being licensed, that leaves our judges and ringmasters and stewards who are working non-rated shows with no coverage. So we found the National Association of Sports Officials. They provide insurance for officials in the NFL, NHL, over 1,000 different organizations, sports organizations, and they have taken us on as a client. They are offering us a $6 million policy, $14 million in aggregate. This is for our judges, ringmasters, and stewards, or someone who is functioning in the capacity of the steward. So if you don't have an official steward, but your manager is acting as steward, then it would cover that person. It's a 12-month policy, and we've secured a group rate of $90 per person. This covers licensed officials, non-licensed officials, amateurs, or even volunteers. It's any breed or discipline, any horse show in the U.S. or Canada. And this policy provides $100,000 worth of coverage for officiating errors or omissions. It also provides gap coverage when other licensed officials' insurances may fall short, as well as a $15,000 assault protection policy and libel and slander protections. So this was an awesome find, and this is currently being offered. We need to update our website, and this will be available for anyone who is interested in purchasing it. We're in good company with this organization, and they also do a lot of the racing industry. They insure racehorse stewards. So we were really excited that they were willing to take on our show horse officials.
The next slide, this is a flow chart taken directly from the U.S. Center for Safe Sports website. And as you can see, a non-NGB organization would not be under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Center for Safe Sport. So, the question is, we want some athlete protection policy. But here's the thing. So the U.S. Center for Safe Sport is not the only game in town when it comes to minor protection policies or athlete protection policies. There have been companies in existence that have done this for decades for other organizations, and RAIN is an example of one of these. The difference is when you're using another organization that is not geared specifically towards a national governing body, it's that these other organizations will tailor programs to fit our organization and our needs. By utilizing one of these other organizations, we can correct what we don't like about the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, which, we've talked about it a lot, but, the fact that there's no due process, you're guilty until proven innocent. There's no statute of limitation. There's no penalty for false reporting. These are all of the complaints that we have about the U.S. Center for Safe Sport. Well, we can correct that by hiring another organization that has done this for decades, such as RAIN, and that can be the company that we use in the non-national governing body organization.
That's right, Donna. Just to be clear, we do want to develop an athlete safety training program. The federal mandate S534 that created the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, it amends the Ted Stevens Act, as Donna explained earlier. You have to read the act in conjunction with the amendment in order to determine who is a covered individual. The U.S. Center for Safe Sport applies only to the athletes in the Olympic and Paralympic movement. Now, that federal mandate does recommend that all amateur sports organizations that cross state lines offer and provide athlete safety. It is not required, but it is recommended that we offer and provide. So RAIN is the group that we would use to develop our program and would assist any victims with reporting to the proper authorities using our criminal justice and legal systems, and would also offer any victims resources and counseling. You can see RAIN's mission here. They are the nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization. They work with over 1,000 different service providers across the country, and they are contracted with the Department of Defense. So our own military uses RAIN. We couldn't be partnered with a better organization to handle our needs. The fee to become one of their affiliated organizations and set up our training program is $10,000. So that is going to be one of our first fundraising efforts. We certainly want to get this in place, and we want to abide by the recommendation of the federal mandate and offer and provide an athlete safety training program. The next piece of the puzzle is drug testing, and we wanted to find, again, an affordable option that better suited our breeds and disciplines. So we found ALS. They are based out of California. They have been doing drug testing for 70 years. They're internationally certified by 11 different organizations. They're used by the FDA and a host of other federal organizations, and they do a lot of racehorse testing. So they have a racing commission panel that costs $105 per horse. It tests classes 1 through 4, which are listed there on this slide. Average plasma collection cost is about $40. You would contract that with a local veterinarian to collect the blood sample. They supply all of the supplies that you need in order to do that. And so with shipping and handling and all, you're looking at a cost of about $150 per horse tested to run this racehorse panel, as opposed to running an FEI panel, which is what USEF does. And the FEI panel is more drugs, more extensive, and the cost is about $250 a horse. So we felt like this would cover what we needed covered. We're not FEI, we're not competing in the Olympics, and we don't feel like our horses testing needs to be at the same level as an Olympic competitor's testing would be. So we would work with vets in our industry. Scott Bennett has volunteered to assist us with that and get some help from some other vets, and we would develop some levels that they feel are therapeutic and fair that we can all live with. Uh, and that way we're not held to a standard that is simply too high. So there would be some profitability built into this drug testing. Say a horse show has 200 entries and we charge a drug testing fee of $25 a piece, which is in line with what USEF charges. That would be an income of $5,000. We feel like if the drug testing is being charged, then the drug testing needs to happen. So shows could elect to participate in drug testing or not. That would be up to them. But with the cost being $150 per horse tested, we would recommend testing a random sample of 10% of the horses shown. So that's 20 horses at the show at $150 a piece, is an expense of $3,000. So that leaves us with $2,000 profit. We'd want to reinvest a percentage of those profits back into that horse show. We think that provides an incentive for the show to do the drug testing. And we've thought of some other ways to incentivize horse shows to do drug testing.
Well, we had sort of bounced around a few different ideas as to how to incentivize these horse shows to offer the drug testing, because we think it's a good idea. And we think that the exhibitors and the trainers do want the drug testing. It's just that right now, once again, it's an all or nothing situation in the show horse industry. You're either USEF and you get drug testing, or you're not and you don't. So we thought maybe we could work with the registry and offer, the CH points at horse shows that do utilize a drug testing program. So that could be a USEF show that has drug testing, or if there's the other organization, the non-NGB organization, if that horse show elects to have drug testing, the CH points can be offered there as well. At least that would incentivize the drug testing program, and people would feel that the CH points were being awarded at a horse show where there was a fair playing field. And I think that makes a lot of sense to the owners, the exhibitors, and the horse trainers.
So drug testing fees are just one way a new organization might earn some income, and another way is affiliation fees. And we have thought about a pay-as-you-go system, right, Donna?
Well, and that makes sense because at the very beginning, getting it off the ground, we don't know how many shows are going to sign up, with this organization. So it's not really fair at the onset to charge a membership fee of, say if it was $65, if an exhibitor is only going to show at maybe 2 horse shows that are affiliated with this organization. So I think you came up with a smart idea of a pay-as-you-go option.
Right. So we haven't worked out final numbers yet, but we're thinking about a governess or affiliation fee per horse per show with no mandatory membership requirement. And that way, like you said, it's more fair to the exhibitors. And then we want to give back our profits above and beyond our operating expenses. And we're looking at a model like this as to how we would distribute any additional monies we have.
Yeah, and what we're thinking is, we hear a lot about, growing the grassroots and the middle market, and that's the foundation of our industry. So there's a lot of talk and discussion about it, but, there's not been a lot of action. So in this pyramid that you can see here, we feel that the lesson programs create the consumer that will hopefully continue far enough along in the industry to participate in horse shows and buy a horse. So this helps support the horse shows and their staff, and this encourages the breeders to help supply the consumers with horses. And hopefully enough need for horses is created that we see a decrease in the horse rescue situations. So this is how we are trying to utilize this non-NGB horse show organization to, address the problems that we all see in our industry, which is the decline in the grassroots and middle market participation. So hopefully we are providing an answer to the question, how do we grow our industry?
At the presentation at Louisville, we did not announce the name of the new organization because we were waiting to get some feedback from the crowd, see if we were on the right track, and see if people felt like this organization was necessary and wanted. And we got, as I mentioned, an overwhelming affirmative response. So the new organization will be Equine Sports Council. We are working hard to get things established and functioning so that we can start to enroll shows for the 2020 year. Of course, we've got a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross between now and the end of the year, but we have grown some legs and we are taking baby steps at a dead run is what it feels like.
Jackie and I invite you to like the Equine Sports Council Facebook page and follow along for updates on our progress. Also, the Equine Sports Council website should be up and fully functional very soon. That will also be announced on the Facebook page. Jackie and I will also be contacting show managers, and we also invite managers and show organization members to contact us if you're interested in getting involved with the Equine Sports Council or signing your show up to be a part of this new network of horse shows. We're very excited to be offering this opportunity, and we look forward to speaking with all of you about all of the possibilities it's going to offer to our industry.
Thanks, Donna. I also want to give a quick shout out to Shane Darnell, who is one of our partner directors. He is from the Morgan World. This is our contact number, and you can reach any of the three of us via this number. We want to hear from you. We want you to be involved in the formation of this organization. We want and your concerns. So please do contact us, and please share this podcast with anyone you think might be interested in learning more about our plans.